Hi, I'm Dustin Hazard, coach at Modern Athletics, and this is a guided warm-up focusing on the lower body. I would have already done my soft tissue work such as foam rolling prior to this. I'm going to show you about 15 exercises as well as some variations of those that you can do for just a general warm-up before a workout or even if just a recovery day. So we're going to start off with figure 4 stretch on my back. I'm going to cross the ankle over the knee and I can reach under here and deepen that stretch by pulling my thigh towards me. So with any kind of stretching, just go with what you feel. You know, play around with it. You can be creative. For example, I like to add a little overhead work, get a little more of a lat stretch or a lower back stretch. I can change this stretch by varying my position. You can do this with any of the stretches, any of the exercises here. Kind of tell you what we're going after, but different people are going to feel it in different places, and that's totally fine. We're doing this in a controlled setting, so it's fine to play around with it and just go with what your instincts tell you is going to work good for you. One side will definitely be a little different than the other, unless you're perfectly asymmetrical, which is very rare, and if you are, hey, good for you. But I'm going to notice the difference between left and right when I'm doing my stretches. One side might feel a little more tight or a little more loose, or just different. Let's go ahead and add that overhead work in there. So with this one, I'm gonna push across. I'm kind of twisting my body to the side here a little bit, or I should say leaning my body to the side, not really twisting. And then reaching with this hand and pushing this hand across. I can also change that by bringing my thigh towards me. Be creative, you know, have some fun with this. Play around with the stretches. So I like to have all my warm-ups have a flow. So I'm generally going to go from one position to exercise that's going to be in the same position or similar to that, right? So I'm already on my back, so the next exercise is going to be on my back as well. This is going to be legs out straight, a lying bent knee to straight leg. I'm not going to be able to straighten my leg all the way, but I'm going to try. Going to get a few reps in here. I can get a few really high quality reps, which I prefer, or I can just go and do a little bit more repetitions, maybe not as good or not as focused. If there's some type of stretch that I'm doing or exercise that maybe I feel I don't need, I can skip it or just kind of speed through it. So again, use your judgment. Something else I like to do with this stretch is lengthening the hamstrings here, or like that's where you're gonna feel this is targeted. Hamstrings, I have basically 3 different hamstring muscles. Bet you didn't know that. 4 muscle bellies, but 3 different muscles in the hamstring. So I like to do what's called a pin and stretch. I'm gonna take a softball, and put it on my hamstrings there, and basically pin that muscle down, and then try and stretch it. And I'm gonna hit a few different places here. So I have some medial hamstring muscles, and then I have one muscle that is lateral to the outside of my thigh. So I can either go more medial or more lateral as I'm doing this. If you find a tender point, you might want to pick on that area. So I'm basically restricting the muscle tissue as I try and stretch it. And it's called the pin and stretch. Hitting a few different spots, and we'll just go high, middle, lower, and just continue. Spending a lot of time on this obviously, but I want to explain it so that you can do this on your own. Oh boy. All right, you get the idea. Moving on my back still, I'm gonna do let's do some leg raises. Something dynamic, I'll usually do like 5 to 10 repetitions. Blood flow, a little more elasticity in these muscles. Straight leg sit up with a reach. So I'm going to stack my hands and I'm going to do some sit-ups. All these exercises I'm going to do for anywhere between 3 to 10 reps. All should take me about 30 seconds. So you can do for time, you can do for reps. Whatever works for you, you can do for breaths. So sometimes I might just do like 3 really good breaths, and that lasts about 30 seconds. Hopefully you're not doing 30 breaths in 30 seconds. I don't want to overthink my warm-up too much. So hey, Did I do 10 reps? I don't know, roughly did 10 reps, okay? So I'm in this position now. Sitting up, I'm gonna go into a seated twist stretch. This also has a longer name, which is like a hip rotator with back extensor stretch, but I mean, seated twist stretch. Call them what you want. I can use my hands here to kind of create a little bit more of a shoulder or pec stretch. Switching sides after about 30 seconds. Some nice breathing in there. Breathe out, go a little deeper into that. Okay, next I'm gonna go into a cat-cow, so I'll be on my hands and knees. Gonna try and decompress the spine a little bit. Arching my back, rounding my back. You can also do a cat-cow, or excuse me, a child's pose. You know, go with the version that feels good for you, or even do both. Something I've been really liking with the cat-cow lately, child's pose. Child's pose is to actually anchor my hand on something, and then I can use the weight of my hips sitting back to deepen that stretch. I can even go across my body. Again, be creative. Find a way to make that stretch work for you. Targeting different angles will target the muscles differently, target different combinations of muscles. Use those instincts. Figure out where you want to feel that stretch. Okay, after that, so I'm already in this position after I just did my cat-cow or my child's pose. I'm gonna go into an adductor stretch. Leg directly out to the side there. And I'm gonna sit back. Maybe I'll point my toes. And that allows me to go a little deeper into that. I'm stretching the inner thigh, groin muscles, adductors, whatever you wanna call them. So you got that. Or you can also do, it's called a frog stretch. It's kind of like doing the splits without straightening your legs. So I can kind of rock back and forth into that. Make sure you do both sides, of course. Okay, I'm gonna go into a heel sit or a toe sit. So this is a heel sit. I'm sitting onto my heels. You may not feel this stretch, or some people are so tight in their quads that they have to put like a foam roller underneath here to support them. But do what you have to do. I have plenty of flexibility here. Also, I don't have shoes on, so I may not feel as much of a stretch, but this right here is gonna be stretching more the top side of my foot and ankle here. Without shoes, I don't really feel it. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna go into a toe sit. So I'm curling my toes underneath there, get a nice little stretch. I mean, how often do you actually stretch your toes? We're seeing a lot of links between the bottom of the foot being tight or shortened or just not cared for. And that will lead to problems in the calves, which can also lead to problems with shin splints or the tibialis anterior muscle being affected by that. So this is a good exercise for potentially treating or preventing shin splints. Stretching the bottom of the feet there. Okay. I can do my heel sit simultaneously while I do arm circles. So we're gonna add a little bit of shoulder work in here now. My version of arm circles is I like to bring my elbows together and my wrists together and maintain that as long as possible, and then just go into a huge circle. Gonna engage my back muscles between the scapula there. Make sure I involve my scapula, shoulder blade. I'm gonna switch directions. Same deal, I could get a bunch of reps in here if I'm feeling good and loose or impatient even. Or I can really work that mobility of the shoulders, that stretch. Find that in range, try to push past it, you know. The more effort you put into your stretching, the more you're gonna get out of it. So treat it like exercise. Next up, we've got half kneeling. Okay, so I'm gonna go to this half kneeling position here. what I can do is I'm gonna affect a lot of areas here, hip, ankle, knee, and I'll show you what I mean by that. First thing I'm gonna do is arch my back to basically tuck my hips underneath me so I get a little deeper stretch. I'm gonna engage my glute muscles and feel a little deeper stretch in that front thigh there. Okay, so I can do that. All right, so instead of being like this, tuck that tailbone underneath there, get that nice deep stretch. Even just this can be a stretch by itself, but what I wanna do is add in some knee movement and some ankle movement as well. So I'm gonna drive the knee forward, get a few reps in there. I'm gonna go 0 degrees or in front of me, 45 degrees, and then I'm also gonna go at 90 degrees. So what that looks like is I got forward, 45, and then 90. I call this open half kneeling. I can pull that foot in a little closer to deepen that ankle mobility. Give me a little more knee bend. It can be further out here. Go with what you feel or do them all. I'll just quickly do the other side. Get a few reps in here. I'm feeling pretty good in my hips right now, so I may not spend a lot of time. This might be more just lubricating the joints to prepare for the workout. Some people will put like a kettlebell on their knee to help deepen that. I find I can just push my hands forward a little bit to sink into that a little bit more. Okay, so I was in the half kneeling. I'm gonna go into Spider-Man, my absolute favorite stretch. My hand is gonna be on the ground in line with that foot, and then I can straighten that back leg. And I'm gonna drop into it to get that deeper stretch. If you feel pretty good with this stretch, I can add some T-spine rotation. Sorry, T-Rex. I'm just twisting up. I can also alternate. There's a lot of options here within the Spider-Man. But if you're having a tough time getting in this position, start in that half kneeling, place your hand there, and then straighten that back leg. Try to sink your hips. I like this because it's basically half a squat. So if you look at it, stretching this half, but ideally, I'm trying to get to this nice deep squat. Okay. So I just did Spider-Man, kind of already in a plank position. So I'm gonna knock out some push-ups. Only like 10 to 100. And 100. All right, this is the warm-up, so I don't want to kill myself. I can also do a modified version. We're just trying to prepare the shoulders for the workout. Don't want to wear myself out. You could also do like a hand elevated. Use like a bench, hand elevated, or maybe you're really hardcore. You can go feet elevated. But again, this is just the warm-up, not the workout. Save yourself. Okay, now I'll be on my feet. Single leg reach, sometimes known as a single leg deadlift. But I'm not lifting anything right now, so I'm gonna go single leg, reach across my body. I can reach both arms forward, or I can put my hands on my hip to give me an idea of if they're level or not. And then I'll go through a few reps there. Take it nice and slow. You don't wanna rush this. I wanna give my body a chance to stabilize. So from the ankle on up, my foot's gonna work. I'm gonna get a little bit more reception in my sensory reception in my foot. Okay, do both sides, of course. Take your time with these ones. Let the body stabilize. Speed hides need, so if I go too fast, I never give the body a chance to actually stabilize. Okay, if that's too difficult for you right now, you can also just do a hinge with a reach. Looks like a deadlift. Sinking those hips back, reach my arms forward. Yeah, looks like this. Okay, something a little more advanced is a lateral lunge. A lot of people struggle with this one. Stepping my foot out parallel, sinking the hips back. This is basically like an adductor stretch. The adductor stretch was this one, but now I'm on my feet. So a little more advanced. If I'm good at this, I'm gonna add that motion. Probably get about 10 reps per side here. If that's too hard for you, you can just go into a lateral squat. Feet wide, feet are parallel. I'm gonna sink my hips back. So a bit of a hinge movement. sinking my hips back, all my weight shifting to one side, coming back to center. You can add a reach, change the stretch. So let me show you what that looks like. Feet are parallel. Sinking the hips back as I shift my weight over to one side. So that's your lateral squat. Even more advanced is gonna be what's called a Kosak Squat. Kosak? I won't go into too much detail here, but you can see this is way more advanced. Really sinking into that. My foot's pointing up. The key here is though to keep that foot grounded too. If I come up onto the toes, that is not the stretch for all of these. Lateral squat, lateral lunge. If my heel comes up, it is no longer the stretch I'm after, right? So make sure that foot stays down, whatever version you're doing. Look at this, whoa. Just have a seat, okay? Don't tear anything trying to do this. All right, so we got our lateral movement in. Last thing I'm gonna do is try and wake up the nervous system. So something a little bit more bouncy, a little more movement. I like to do a hip twist in this version. It's gonna be this. All right, so my body's square, and I'm just turning my hips side to side, keeping my upper body squared away. I'll do that for about 20 seconds. Stimulate the nervous system, trying to just get me fired up for a workout. Get a little more blood flow going, warm up the tissue, all of the above. You can also do just regular jump squats. It's all about preparing yourself for the workout. Okay, or even just jumping jacks. Just get yourself fired up however you need to. So that is our lower body focus warm up. Hopefully you can go and take this into your next workout, or even it's just for recovery, but hopefully it's for preparing for a workout. See you later.